Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Monday, May 19th, 5:17 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with the Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we are in an uptrend, which kicked off on April 22nd, 23rd with classic O'Neill follow-through days. Check the trend gauge over here. Got the green arrow on market leaders, plentiful and acting well. As far as the major indexes and their reference to their short-term moving average, all above that level. That's the 21-day moving average, also above the medium-term 50-day moving average. Mixed bag against the 200-day moving average, but we got the Nasdaq and the S&P firmly above there. The last step we're waiting for is for the 50-day moving average to come up through the 200. Then we'll have all the moving averages configured from short term to medium term to long term stacked above each other. But it's not holding the market back from making progress. In fact, today was a big win for the bulls. Friday after the close, we got news that Moody'S downgraded the U.S. credit rating, and the initial knee-jerk reaction was a sell-off after hours and a gap down in the futures. But bulls bought it up immediately from the first 5 minute bar, put in the low of the day, trended higher all morning, based in the afternoon. Really just an ideal situation if bulls were looking to buy the dip, because they sure as heck did. And that's typical of bull market action. Here are the numbers, our 21-21 list. We have three new ones, actually four new ones this week. We'll go over those as we progress through the video. Up a third of a percent, 11 up, 8 down, 2 neutral. The big eight down 0.23%. The RG8s, our eight growth ETF composite, also down a third of a percent. The S&P gap down a percent at the open and rallied strong close. Also put it positive by 0.9%. Equal weight just barely negative. NASDAQ 100 gap down 1.3%. Closed up a tenth of a percent. Equal weight slightly better. Dow positive, mid caps and small caps lower. We'll look at those charts momentarily. Global 60/40 up 0.21. Our flagship GROTECTION portfolio up 0.17%. TurboTection up approximately 0.43%. Let's get into the charts, and we'll start here with the S&P 500. Let's go to a 5 minute, and you can see the gap down below the range from Friday into the breakout range from Thursday. That was a very nice higher high, higher lows, 3.5 hours, and then a base into the close with a strong close. Makes it 6 days up in a row since the China tariff reset was announced. And the bears continue to be in disbelief. Let's go to the equal weight S&P 500. Uh, just barely down, but top of the range close above the 200-day moving average. You can see the 50-day moving average. That's the red line, now sloping higher. For equal weight S&P, NASDAQ 100, six straight up close as well, continuing to just make higher highs off of the bottom. Dow Jones Industrial Average making a higher high as well. Second, third close now, back above the 200-day moving average. Let's look at the NASDAQ equal weight very quickly. That also is up on the day and continues to make higher highs off of the bottom. How about the S&P 400 mid cap right into the 200-day moving average? Got its first close above it on Friday. High range of the day today. Good close there. 50-day moving average has curled back up as well, but sitting right on that 200-day moving average. And then the laggard Russell 2000 small caps down on the day, 0.4%, holding the 8-day moving average and 3.4% below the downtrending 200-day moving average. Those are the major indexes. Let's go to inter-asset correlation. The VIX with an initial big pop up, but ended up being up on the day only by 5.2%. Ran into the 200-day moving average. So VIX came off as the S&P advanced, which is expected and what we like to see. Still finishing up on the day, however. Let's go to the US dollar. With that credit downgrade, the dollar got weaker. It was down 0.68% on the day. So looking a little bit like a false breakout on the dollar here from this range that it was in as it's fallen back into that 3 to 4 week base. That's the dollar. How did precious metals impact? Normally, with a weak dollar is good for them, and it was today. Gold bouncing at the 50-day moving average, still below the declining 21-day moving average, up 1.3% on the day. And gold stocks regaining the 50-day moving average, up 2.2% on the day. Bitcoin initially was higher after hours when the futures were down. It faded and opened lower, but bounced right at the 8-day moving average, closed near the high of the day, up 1.3%. This looks fantastic. On the bonds, BND, the broad bond index, closed at the high of its range. That's good. That means yields closed at the low of their range as they initially popped on that credit downgrade. Here's TLT, the long bond, also closing at the top of the range. TYX is the yield up, but at the bottom of the range, as you would expect. Yields move up inverse to bond prices, and the TNX bottom of the range as well. That's our inter-asset correlation. Let's hit the tail of the tape now. Uh, on the bull case, obviously, percent of stocks above the 5-day ticked down a little bit, still elevated. That's why it's in red there. But it's when it's above 80, we get mildly concerned. But again, secondary indicator. The news mentioned the credit rating downgrade and how the bulls just ate it up immediately. Day count, 6 straight up days, 19 days above the 8-day exponential moving average on the S&P 500, 18 days above the 21. Expectations remain short-term positive as long as we're above the 21 on the S&P and the Nasdaq 100. S&P 500 ATR continues to tick lower, now half of what it was a few weeks ago, down to 1.72%. Sectors on the day to the upside, staples and healthcare, biotech, gold and gold stocks. To the downside, semiconductor, software, oils, and banks. But semiconductors and software well off of their lows. Portfolio changes. GROTECTION, we added to our current existing positions in GEV, Palantir, and Tesla. Here are our holdings, and the order that we go in these are ETFs first, high to low, then, broad index first, high to low, then ETFs, then individual names from highest percentage to lowest percentage. Those changes ticked up the volatility adjusted beta to 1.36% and our balance at risk 6.24%. TurboTection also added to its GEV position and started a position in SOX L. You can see the Turbo holdings there as well, same format. Uh, Turbo RVAB ticked up quite a bit to 1.61 with that SOX L. That's a 3 times leveraged ETF, good entry point on it, and 6.3% open heat or balance at risk. But the bottom line on the day, we gapped down on that Moody'S US credit rating, and the bulls bought it immediately. From some of the things I read, this seemed to be somewhat politically motivated. One of the head guys at Moody's is a um, Trump hater, and he certainly had the initial credit downgrade happened years ago, and I can't remember which one did it first. There's 3 credit agencies. Moody's was certainly last. They had ample opportunity to do it all through the Biden administration with the exploding debt. Didn't do it. Had to wait for Trump to get into office. So always got to consider the politics of whoever's representing decisions like that. It's a shame, but it's a reality. Uh, Keys for tomorrow remain S&P holding above its 200-day moving average, QQQ is above its 200-day moving average, and the overhead resistance on those 6,000 for the S&P, 530 for the Nasdaq 100. Those are the levels we're watching. Let's go to the 21 over 21 list for this week, and we will start with what we own. As always, if it has a green flag over here, it's in our portfolio. Netflix had a downgrade today by one of the big firms, JP Morgan, but it ended up flat on the day. A lot of these leaders opened at the lows of the day, rallied well off them. You're going to see a lot of close at the high of the range. Palantir, we added to this on the 60-minute stochastic cross and bounce off the 8-day moving average. We use that as a short-term timing tool to increase positions. We do that frequently. GE Vernova, we did it last week. In fact, with that, we did it on Thursday, rewarded today. Relative strength new high up 4.3%. Uber continues to act fantastic. CRS as well, bouncing off the 8, making a higher high. Hood bouncing off the 8, making a higher high. Tesla added to this on the 60-minute stochastic. It didn't quite get to the 8, but we got a 30 and a 60-minute stochastic cross toward the lows, toward the close, well off the lows, down 2.25%, but a good low risk entry with this 4-day consolidation here. HIMS, tight inside day, tightest range it's had for a while, setting up a potential to add to it if it consolidates a little bit more. Rose, we want to add to this as well. Weren't able to get any bigger position than our initial one after earnings, but we're certainly looking to add to that. Spotify continues to act well, bounced at the 8 EMA. NVIDIA, 4 tight closes in a row, earnings in 2 weeks. And the final holding, Bitcoin, bounced at the 8 EMA, as I mentioned. Here's the rest of them. These next 6 were also carried over from last week. Zscaler continues to just be a fantastic move higher, riding the 8 EMA in the strong security software group. Carvana, 4 tight closes in a row here, coiling within that pivot plus 5% area. Chewy, big day today, breaking above that pivot plus 5% area, up 3.7%. Duolingo, nice gentle pullback to the 8 EMA. Boeing, second straight lower volume pullback, acting very well. And Toast, close at the high of the range, consolidating for 5 days as well. Okay, these 3 are new. CoreWeave, just an absolute monster. Did a lot of shake and bake after its earnings report, had a very strong day on Friday and following through after a gap down this morning to the upside. Really nice IPO based breakout, and the way this acting, it just needs to be on everybody's watch list for a low risk entry on a pullback. AppLovin also added this week. Nice pullback after its earnings report with a bounce off the 8-day moving average. And NRG, a utility, but it's got an AIDC slant powering AI data centers. Great reaction since its gap up on its earnings report. Also looking for a possible pullback for low risk entry on there. And that is the 21 over 21 that we'll be using this week. And that'll wrap it for the video. Do want to mention one that's not in the 21-21, but absolutely belongs in there. I just don't like to have 2 Bitcoin plays in the 21 over 21, but MicroStrategy MSTR is owned by TurboTection. Nice, very nice lower volume pullback here over the past 4 or 5 days, really coiling for a move higher. This is basically a leverage Bitcoin play. Bitcoin goes higher. This is going to go higher as they've got a bunch of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That's going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. The email is don@revereasset.com. The phone is 855 Real Wealth. That's 855-732-5932. If you're interested in becoming a client, reach out to my partner, Dan Stewart, dan@revereasset.com. Got a ton of positive feedback, new video newsletter signups, and inquiries about becoming clients after my IBD Live appearance on Friday. That is still available if you're an IBD Live subscriber. You can also do a trial, very low cost trial, if you wanted to check that out. And it's a great service. I've got it running every day while in the background while the market is open. Great way to reinforce the rules, and great news summary they do in the morning. And any stocks that are moving, they're discussing them. So it's a nice addition to the way we do things here at Revere. And remember, our flagship portfolio is named GROTECTION because it's designed to grow assets during uptrends, protect them during downtrends, as we have just detailed uh, this harsh 20+% pullback. And then we've got rules to get back in, and we talk about them every night here, fully transparent, every portfolio change discussed, overview of the market. We want this to be the only source that you need for to stay on top of the market and leading names. And we appreciate all the kind feedback. Do us a favor though, hit like if you're watching this on YouTube. Only about 1 out of 10 people that watch it hit like for whatever reason. So if you do that, we'd appreciate it. It helps the algorithm and get our content out into people's streams that are looking for help with the stock market. And with that, I'll wrap it for Monday, May 19th. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great day.